Oops.
Very modern.
It's very easy. Yeah. Okay.
So, welcome to this press conference. Ukrainian summit. We will begin with statements by the leaders and then we will have time for few questions. This event will have simultaneous interpretation. President Niinisto, please.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all the colleagues. It has been a pleasure and honor to host this meeting. We have had very open and frank discussions. I believe we all agree that this was worthwhile meeting. We also issued a statement. I think it's available. And altogether, we gave strong support to Ukrainians and the Ukrainian initiative for peace formula. It is most important for everybody, for every single family, for every single child, that life is peaceful. So the key word.
President Zelenskiy, please.
Thank you so much. Mr. President, I will not be so short. Okay.
I'm sure they are more interested in listening to you than me.
Thank you so much for this possibility. Mr. President of Finland, dear leaders, dear journalists, today I'm here in Helsinki, first of all, to thank you personally, partners of Ukraine, and I thank Finland and Mr. President for organizing this summit for the 15th security aid packages to our people, to Ukraine, and for the decisions we are preparing now, and I'm sure we'll adopt together. I thank Sweden and Mr. Prime Minister for your strong EU presidency and for your strong role in forming coalitions to protect Ukraine and our common freedom. And tanks, some of the vehicles from Sweden are already saving lives in Ukraine. I thank Denmark, Madam Prime Minister, for your determination, for the speed in supplying weapons, and for yet another military package that has been formed to support our active actions. And I thank you for your patronage in reconstruction of Mykolaiv regions, very important. I thank Norway, Mr. Prime Minister, for how efficient you are in creating a new and long-lasting peace for Ukraine and all of Europe. Norway's weapons are a strong antidote to Russian evil state, and your financial support package of $7 billion in something that shows many others in the world what it means to truly value peace. I thank Iceland, Madam Prime Minister, for your direct involvement in creating international register of damage caused by aggression, and for your clear support of each step that brings the aggressor closer to full accountability. And I'm also grateful that peace and justice for Ukraine and the whole Europe will be a top issue at the upcoming Council of Europe summit in Iceland. Thank you, friends. The main topic of our summit is security. Today, security means concrete daily protection against Russian terrorists. Tomorrow, security lies in our cooperation to strengthen our countries and the whole Europe, and security for future generations, for our children, for our grandchildren, means that they can build their lives knowing that peace is guaranteed for them, guaranteed by us. We must do it together. And I sincerely congratulate all the people of Finland on joining the alliance. Suomi is the land for life and never again for war. It is a historical achievement to remove security uncertainty. And I genuinely wish Sweden to complete its accession as soon as possible. Together with you, NATO will consist of 32 members. Ukraine can and must be 33rd member I think so, and I really wish to our country it. And we understand that in the time of aggression, it is impossible to fulfill Ukraine's accession to the alliance, but there is no obstacle to a political decision on the algorithm of our joining NATO. Ukraine has already provided a historic weakening of the main threat to all of us, Russian revanchism. Ukraine is already a de facto member of NATO, and we are actually cooperating for the sake of common defense. So, decisions are to be made. Today we discussed the upcoming decisions, namely the NATO summit in Vilnius, and what we can and must do together and strengthening NATO is as a whole. And I thank you, dear colleagues, for your willingness to continue supporting our defense until our land is completely liberated from Russian occupation. We must teach Moscow to respect internationally recognized state borders. To do so now means to do so forever, and we will do it. Thanks to also for your support of the Ukrainian peace formula that is said, Mr. President, in particular the point on justice. Every Russian war criminal and the aggressor state itself must be held accountable for the war. Ladies and gentlemen, the joint statement of the summit contains many points on which we agree. And this is not something purely political. This is an agreement based on our common values. We in Europe, from Kiev to Reykjavik, from Helsinki to Lisbon, value human life and freedom above all. And every part of our space of life and space of freedom, our Europe, must be and will be protected jointly by all of us. Don't forget it. 33. Thanks, everybody. Slava Ukraini.
Prime Minister Jakobsdottir.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Sauli, for organizing this extraordinary meeting here in Helsinki, and thank you, Volodymyr, for joining us. It has been very important to all of us. I would like to make 3 points. First, Iceland supports Ukraine and continue to support Ukraine. We have been giving them first and foremost a civilian support, being a country with no military of our own, but we have shown that support economically through humanitarian aid, through aid in defense-related issues, but not least in political support, which is also very important. Number 2, I would like to mention the fact that we are here together, the Nordic countries, and I think it's very important that together we can show Ukraine even more support. We mentioned, for example, the Nordic financial institutions in our joint statement, which is important because what we were talking about at this meeting is the economical reconstruction of Ukraine. And I think the Nordics can actually give strong support in that huge project. Finally, and maybe my most important point, is the fact that we have the Summit of Council of Europe in Reykjavik in May. And one of the main topics there is going to be accountability. And there we are going to talk about a registry of damages caused by Russia in this war and how we can implement a strong compensation mechanism to deal with the fact that we will want to hold Russia accountable for what they have done after this illegal invasion. And I do also hope that the summit will provide us with an opportunity to deepen our discussion on President Zelenskiy peace formula, and we actually used a lot of our time in this meeting to talk about peace and how we can achieve just peace and how we can start a process on each of the 10 points. Some of them will be a main topic at the summit in Reykjavik. Others we need to talk about in different areas with different countries. But I think this goal is very important, and I think we need to deepen that discussion and start that process. So thank you again for convening us here. It's been a very fruitful discussion.
Thanks so much.
Prime Minister Frederiksson.
Thank you, and first of all, thank you for hosting us today and standing here all of us, the Nordic colleagues with you included today, sends a very clear signal that this is a question about our Europe, our common Europe. And every day brave Ukrainians continue fight back against Russia's illegal and brutal war. It is important for all of us to remember that Ukraine is not only fighting for you and for Ukraine, but for all of Europe, for the right of every country to live in peace and live in a way where you don't have to fear its neighbor. And hopefully it goes without saying that we owe Ukraine all the support we can give from all the neighboring countries. Therefore, I'm very pleased to have this opportunity today to discuss how we can continue our strong support from all the Nordic countries. And we again have to speed up because you need our support not in the future but today. It is of utmost importance for the Danish government to provide Ukraine in any way we can, as long as it takes. And we understand that the need for military equipment is urgent once again. Just yesterday we announced a new package from Denmark. It is the largest Danish package to date in terms of funding, and we are already now considering new donations to Ukraine. Today we have also talked about the long-term perspective. We must ensure the future generations of Ukrainians that they can build the future that they want. And I think this is one of the main messages from our meeting today, that all the Nordic countries stand behind you, and we will continue to do so. This is an important message to your people who are fighting today while we are standing here, but it's also an important message to our own populations that we want to continue our support, and we will continue that support, that you can believe in.
Thank you.
Prime Minister Gар Stьоре.
Thank you so much, and thank you, President Niinisto, for hosting us. President Zelenskiy, I would like to say it is a moving, historic day that you are here with us. We have all been visiting you in Ukraine, and I take it as a sign of hope and future that you are now on Nordic soil, meeting in this community which has such a long story of peaceful cooperation, development of society and democratic institutions. And we have all pledged our support to your fight for peace. We communicate to our population that it is your brutal daily reality, and that you are also fighting for values that are important to young and old, women, children, men in our countries. So I would like to reiterate that as my first point. The Nordics stand with you as you are on your way to European integration, and you are also in the way to the Euro-Atlantic Alliance, NATO. Secondly, I would like to highlight that this war has to end, and the aggressor has to end it. When the peace comes, it has to be on the terms of the country that has been attacked. And that is why we have spent time on the Ukrainian peace formula. And as my colleagues have said, there are 10 points. And I believe it is an ambitious and just plan for peace. And we will look into each of those 10 points to see where can we make specific contributions. We now need a process where countries who support peace in Ukraine take this plan as a point of departure to see how we can make direct contributions. Because this peace cannot be put on your shoulders alone, Mr. President. We will support you in defending yourself, and we will support you in building your peace. So you can trust that we will stand with you for as long as it takes. This is not only your fight, it is also a deep matter for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Prime Minister Kristersson.
First of all, thank you, Solly, for bringing Nordics and Ukraine together here today. Since February last year, Sweden has mobilized some 2 billion euros in bilateral support, contributing to the strong assistance to Ukraine provided by all the Nordic countries. And speaking For Sweden, and in the role of the EU presidency, I welcome the important steps the Union is taking right now in providing Ukraine with ammunition, extremely important. Supporting Ukraine's freedom and integrity against Russia's continued aggression is the Union's single most important task right now. It is an existential matter. Ukraine is, as we all know, not only fighting for their own freedom, but for our freedom as well. Sweden is providing Ukraine with substantial combat power, infantry fighting vehicles, tanks, advanced air defense systems, training and other military support. And we will continue to provide political, military, humanitarian and financial support for as long as it takes. When I met with you, President Zelenskiy, in Kyiv just a few months ago, I also met with officials and students and soldiers and ordinary Ukrainians, and they all impressed on me. The one word that can describe all your fellow citizens best is determination. Determination that one day Ukraine will bring Russia's aggression to an end and Ukraine will be free. Determination that might does not make right, and determination in the belief that Ukraine's future is within Europe in every possible sense. The decision to grant Ukraine candidate status last year was an historic one, and we continue to support Ukraine's merit-based accession process and assist in the reform efforts that will pave the way for Ukraine to start EU accession talks. The Swedish presidency has also taken the lead in the work to ensure accountability, including for the crime of aggression. Those responsible will be brought to justice. Allow me to explicitly point out that this includes the issue of Russia's forced transfer of Ukrainian children. This must have consequences. Sweden was the first EU country to propose sanctions on these grounds, and we will continue our efforts to address this deeply disturbing issue. And regarding, finally, children's rights, in June we will host a high-level meeting on protection of children that will focus on EU assistance for Ukraine's child protection system. In Russia's uncivilized war, protecting Ukraine is the thing to do. Thank you so much.
And then we will have time for a few questions. First we have Mikko Marttinen, Ilta-Sanomat.
Good afternoon. Mikko Marttinen from Ilta-Sanomat. My question, I would like to address it to President Zelenskiy and President Niinisto. What is the message you want to send to Russia and Putin from this meeting? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. I would like the position of Ukraine to be properly understood. We are not sending any messages to Russia for the future of our compatriots. It doesn't matter for us what will happen to the nationals of Russia and Russia itself. We think about people in Ukraine, the land which has seen Russian aggression. My message to Russia, no message for them, my message to the whole of the world, is the message of unity for the sake of from our independent and Soviet territory to have this war, and particularly on the basis of the peace formula that we've discussed with our partners today. I think all the nations willing peace on the European continent and worldwide have to unite to see this war end as soon as possible, and it can be done only when the Russian aggression stops.
Thank you so much. The message to Russia is very clear and very unit amongst us. We support Ukrainians. They have the right to have a peaceful life, and they are the one who have right to just peace. This is what we have expressed together today, and this is what we continue to say also to Kremlin.
Next one is Andreas Magnusson, Morgonbladet.
I'd like to address this question to President Zelenskiy and to Prime Minister Kатрін Якобсдоттір. First of all, did you discuss any details for further material support from the Nordic countries to the Ukraine? And was the meeting a build-up of sorts to the Council of Europe summit in Reykjavik?
Zelenskiy.
Do you want to start? No, please.
Okay. Yes, we talked about the continued support of all the Nordic countries. We talked about not only defense-related support, but also support for economic reconstruction. Many of the countries have been introducing an increase in their support, and the Icelandic government is actually preparing also an increase in our support. And yes, we talked a lot about the upcoming summit of the Council of Europe, because there Ukraine is going to be the main focus, not least the issues of accountability and how we can restore justice after this illegal invasion. And there we want to use part of the meeting to focus on specific issues in the peace formula President Zelenskiy has introduced, not least the restoration of justice, the issue of accountability, but also the question of ecocide, which is one of the 10 points how actually we can counter the fact that we have seen incredible environmental destruction also in this war. But Volodymyr, please.
Thank you so much.
Well, I will be frank with you, nothing to complain about. We are deeply thankful to everyone for your support to our infantrymen on the battlefield, for the financial support from our partners. If we are talking about Nordic countries today, I'm particularly thankful and grateful to them for the unity and support of Ukraine in very specific matters, not just in words. And we are going back from this very important.
Приїхав не тільки за результатом. Я хотів би,
Came
щоб ми
out
були
here not
дуже
just
зрозумілі.
for the result.
Ми
I
повинні
want
бути вдячні
to
за
be very
підтримку
comprehensible and
спочатку, з
clear.
першого дня цієї війни.
We wanted to
Всім
express our
представникам,
deep gratitude
лідерам
for the support
відповідних
since first day
потужних
of this
держав.
war.
Ми
We wanted to thank the nation, these powerful nations and the leaders, the support that we have been feeling from the level of the EU, from on the battlefield, in the power sector with the very challenging winter we had. We were not alone. So I'd like to thank all the countries, particularly countries of this summit of today. We have some specific results. We've survived thanks to our partners.
Peter Benson, Berlingske.
Thank you. A question for you, President Zelenskiy, and the Danish Prime Minister as well. Earlier today, President Zelenskiy, you said, or perhaps rather asked, why is it that we always have to prove ourselves on the battlefield over and over again before we get the equipment, the weapons that we so desperately need? Have you had an answer to that question? And to the Danish Prime Minister, when will Denmark provide the F-16 fighter jets that Ukraine asks for?
Yeah, no, yeah, please.
Well, thank you for that question. And we have tried this several times before, you and I. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
First of all, I was very happy that we yesterday could make the proposal in the Danish Parliament to deliver another very strong package for Ukraine, the 10th. The package with the highest amount of money included. And we have provided with different types of measures and weapons and equipment that Ukraine has asked for. Just to give you one example, our whole artillery is now on its way to Ukraine. When we talk about the fighters, that's a question we have been discussing for some time now, and it is still an issue that we talk about among allies. It's a difficult task, it's a difficult question, but it is still an ongoing discussion, and from a Danish perspective, we haven't closed it yet.
Дуже дякую вам за запитання.
Thank you for your question.
Коли журналісти піднімають такі запитання, вони дуже-дуже допомагають. Але, будуть чесним, у нас виклики дійсно були в різні моменти з різною зброєю. Це не залежить від однієї держави, тому що це повномасштабна війна, повномасштабне вторгнення. Тут дійсно потрібно погодження багатьох країн, союзницьких країн щодо виділення відповідної кількості зброї. Питання вже сьогодні йдеться саме на кількість, тому що довго повномасштабна війна, і тому потрібно бути союз таких держав, такий мікрокоаліції. У нас це відбулося в Рамштайні. Потім змогли ми це зробити з танками, потім з броньованими armed vehicles, і сьогодні складне питання щодо aircraft. Напевно, одне з найскладніших.
Now we have this debatable question of aircraft. How to get this? We all are working on that. We are talking to our partners, and we already see understanding.
Hildegran, TV2.
Yes, this question is for President Zelenskiy. The Kremlin is today accusing Ukraine of an assassination attempt on Putin. Why would they accuse Ukraine of this at this moment? It would be very interesting to hear your thoughts on this alleged attack.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find you. Where are you? I see. So, nice to see you. You know, I can repeat this message, and I think it will at least will be understandable for everybody. We don't attack Putin or Moscow. We fight on our territory. We are defending our villages and cities. We don't have, you know, enough weapon for this. That's why we don't use it anywhere. For us, that is the deficit. We can't spend it. And we didn't attack Putin. We leave it to tribunal.
Good. Then we have Liselott Lindström as Mette.
Yes, I'm Liselott Lindström from the Swedish public broadcaster, and my question is also to President Zelenskiy. Just a little follow-up on what you just said. Why do you think it is in the interest of President Putin to accuse Ukraine of trying to assassinate him? Thank you.
Ну, тому що немає. Я вам поясню. Все дуже просто в Росії. Все дуже просто в Росії немає перемог.
Russia has no victories to report. He can no longer motivate his public. He cannot send his servicemen to die just like nothing happens. He has no victories on the battlefield. The second army in the world is lost. They find themselves capable of occupying Ukraine.
Тепер йому потрібно хоч якось
They got
мотивувати
hard
цих
time
людей, щоб
from
вони
us,
йшли
and now
вперед.
he
Окрім,
has
а
to
вже ж тих
motivate
вагнерівців,
somehow
які
those people.
складаються
He
з
has
зеків,
to keep
які,
them
якщо не
going
йдуть
forward,
вперед, а
like
повертаються назад, вони
Wagnerites,
самі ж їх
ex-convicts who cannot go back because they will be shot by the blocking squad. This is their current position. This is what is happening in reality.
фактів,
We have hundreds and thousands of actual facts, eavesdropped communications and confessions from those.
Що він не спроможний більше
Wagnerites taking POWs. It increasingly shows he is not able, sorry to tell it, to sell
інформаційно своєму суспільству перемогу. Більше перемог у нього ніяких немає. Вони програли цю війну, програли як держава, програли історично, програли повагу, яка у них була, не була. Це не мені судити сьогодні. Ось що відбувається. І тепер йому потрібно щось робити різке. То замах, то дрони, то у нас були якісь гусі, які бомбили їх. Ну, то вони щоденно будуть вигадувати ті чи інші кроки. А все вирішується простіше. Не треба нікого залякувати. Не треба використовувати зброю. Вийти з нашої території. Суто наш, яку визнають всі. Абсолютно всі. Навіть держави поза Альянсом НАТО чи поза Євросоюзом на різних континентах. Всі визнають цілісність територіальну України. І тому вийти з нашої території, ось і було б рішення. Воно набагато простіше, ніж використовувати різні інформаційні
delving into those information and such manipulations.
And our last question goes to Anne Kauronen, Reuters.
Thank you for the opportunity. Anne Kauronen for Reuters News. This is a question for President Zelenskiy. The Black Sea grain deal is to expire on May 18. Will there be an extension of it, do you believe? And do you see Moscow's claim on this drone attack affecting this deal negatively? Thank you.
Я не бачу зацікавленості Росії продовжувати зернову ініціативу, але це відбувається щоразу. Але ми не шукаємо зацікавленості Росії, ми шукаємо виконання домовленості з нашими партнерами щодо зернової ініціативи. У нас є чіткі домовленості з Гутеррішем, генеральним секретарем організації 19 з президентом Туреччини.
Secretary General Guterres and Turkish President Erdogan. We have commitments to each other and they continue regarding the continuation of the grain initiative. And they will have to negotiate with the Russian part. The continuation of the grain corridor needed by so many countries worldwide, like also for us.
Now we have exhausted the questions and this concludes this press conference.
Thank you. Thank you all, and specifically, thank you. It sounded like we have a sixth northern country when we discussed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mike Fredericksen, no, I will actually talk. I will talk to the future Prime Minister, the supposed future Prime Minister. We don't have to introduce him to
This is the